of deep true crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, I want to continue the coverage of Ruby Franke. You know, the YouTube mom who has been arrested and currently sits in jail after doing the unthinkable to her own children and even talking a lot about it on her YouTube stories. And so now we find out more, but in this shocking turn of events, Ruby is now blaming her partner. And she's saying that Jodi, her partner, took advantage of her. Because she had a desire to improve herself, to be a better parent. And she says that Jodi did the unthinkable herself and changing everything about this YouTuber's life. And so we're going to be diving into what we know about this updated story. Be right back. Ruby Franke, the Utah influencer and mommy blogger who has been arrested on child abuse charges, she is set to enter a plea this upcoming Monday. And we know now that she has blamed her business partner for making her lose her, what she refers to as her moral compass. She lost her way and she's blaming her partner. Ruby Franke, the 41-year-old mother of six, at one point, she enjoyed what many would consider YouTube star. She was a big up-and-coming thing. They had a lot of views. Literally, their YouTube channel racked up over 1 billion views. And this was a parenting channel of her and all the kids. So together, there was the YouTube channel was called 8 Passengers. And what they would do is they would document the family life, the homeschooling, the what she referred to as tough parenting style. But then this past August of 2023, her whole world comes crashing down as she was arrested after police found her 12-year-old son, Russell, severely emaciated, injured, and bound with duct tape. That is pure sign of child abuse. I don't care who she wants to place blame on. She knew what she was doing was wrong. And so the boy who was found, he was at the home of her business partner, Jodi Hildebrandt, who was also arrested, who was also charged with child abuse. Now, we would later find out that Franke's husband, Kevin, has, he himself has said, I'm at my ends with, I let this go on too long. We don't know everything. He has never been charged with anything. We don't know what role. They were separated. She told him stay away. She is, to me, the big perpetrator. And so we now know that Kevin, he left the marital home in Springville, Utah a year earlier amid those differences in her parenting styles. Now, Franke, she sets up a new YouTube wellness and coaching channel with Hildebrandt. And so in this is where they're doing the moms of truth. They're having all these, you can see these Instagram posts. It was also called connections. Now, her lawyer is now saying that, the details of Franke's plea deal, sharing a little, but that she blames Hildebrandt for corrupting her. She's not, so far, we're not hearing any accountability. She's set to enter her plea, which most likely will probably be not guilty and blame her. And so now, Ruby Franke, she is said, according to her lawyers, to be a devoted mother and also a woman committed to constant improvement. This is his defense. He's prepping his defense as to she was only trying to help herself. She thought she was doing the right thing. So I'm not buying it, and hopefully you're not buying it either. These children were children. They should have been treated like children, not like slaves. And so now at the end of the day, none of that is okay. And Ruby Frank, according to her lawyer, she's a devoted mother. Well, I question that. And so her lawyer says initially Miss Franke believed that Jodi Hildebrandt had the insight to offer a path to continual improvement. Miss Hildebrandt took advantage of this quest and twisted it into something heinous. Now, I struggle with that. Where's the accountability for the mom who did this herself? Her child, her own son, on YouTube said, I've been sleeping on a sleeping bag for 7 months? That is not okay. Okay? On the stream, they talked about this. He kind of laughs it off, but the viewers don't laugh that off. That is child abuse. Okay? And so a lot of viewers were voicing their opinion before all of this came out. Literally, there were other channels damaging her in her parenting styles, in their styles. And so that's why we find out, according to her lawyer, that she believed that Jodi had the insight to offer a path to help her in her improvement. And he says that, Miss Hildebrandt, she takes advantage of this quest and twisted it into something heinous. Again, whether that is true or not, that is not acceptable for her to even let this happen to her own children. So I'm just not buying it. And so they accuse Hildebrandt of having systematically isolated Ruby Franke from her extended family, older children, and her husband, Kevin Franke. Okay, I'm just not buying it. What do you think? Now, Kevin, he did file for divorce finally just last month in November. What took so long? I don't know. He's now trying to separate himself. He does not have his children back. He's trying to get them back. So I don't know where this is going to end up going. But I can tell you this, that they're in for a long haul. Now, Ruby Franke's lawyers, they claim that Hildebrandt's isolating of Franke left her with a distorted sense of morality. Like she didn't know what she was doing. That's the lawyers, what they're saying. And so they're saying that Hildebrandt had could influence Franke so much that it led her to be this person. And so they claim that the 3 months in jail have given her perspective and made her realize her mistakes. Bull hockey. That's a bunch of malarkey. I'm not buying that for 1 second. She's just trying to figure out how the flip can I get out of this. I cannot believe that I'm in here. Well, guess what? You knew that this was coming. Come on. The older daughter has been yelling from the top of her lungs to get these kids help. Okay? She's reported you. Okay? So I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. Now, and so they're saying during Ruby Franke's incarceration in Washington County Jail over the past few months, she has actively engaged in an introspection that has allowed her to reset her moral compass and understand the full weight of her actions. And let me know in the comments, are you buying this? Are you buying what she is selling? Because I'm sure not. But Kevin, what took you so long to do the right thing is my question. And so, this is her home. This is Jodi's home where the kids were found. Now, Miss Franke, according to her lawyer, is committed to taking responsibility for the part that she played in the events that would lead up to her incarceration. They're already trying to downplay it though, as you can tell. They say that Franke is trying to make amends with her relatives and contribute positively to the healing journey of her family. No, my friends, she knows she is in for a long haul in prison and she's trying to figure it out. Because you're talking about 6 counts of child abuse. That is not a slap on the wrist. I'm just not buying that. But there's probably going to be more details that come out about this. Again, her little boy when he came across the neighbor, he was not in healthy condition. The neighbor was in tears. When he called 911, I played it on this channel. He was in tears. So I'm just not buying it. And so, they're both being incarcerated. They're both in jail. And they say that Franke, she's trying to make amends. I doubt it. I don't buy it. She's trying to, downplay her role. And so Hildebrandt's attorneys, they have not commented on Ruby's claims. Last month, Hildebrandt's niece, she did make her own accusations about this. Now you can see the four of the girls. The older daughter's not in this picture, and the boy is not in this picture. Okay, the older girl is the one that's been screaming at the top of her lungs that my family, my siblings need help. Literally. And so you can see her in that picture. I believe, yeah, she was the older one. So the youngest one wasn't there at that time, I believe. But this is the moment that the sister is like, finally, because she had been fighting for them for some time. And so I think that this is relevant to share at the least, because the sister alone, the oldest, she's been trying to get this taken care of for a long time. Now, the niece of Jodi, Jodi Hildebrandt, she had made some very similar claims about Jodi. And she's accusing Jodi of being the mastermind behind Franke's abusive parenting, which leads to maybe there is some recourse as to where her moral compass went wrong. I just don't understand how someone can influence you to do something like this to your own children. Where's the love? Where's the caring? How does anyone think that this is right? And so Jessie, she lived with her aunt as a child, and she said she too was tied up. She too had duct tape placed over her mouth. She too was blindfolded and isolated for 12 hours a day. And when you hear that, and then you see what Ruby Franke's children went through, well, maybe there is something to be said. But again, you did not protect your own children. She said she was even forced to sleep outside in the snow. That's horrifying if that's true. Now, Hildebrandt, she has been blamed for destroying people's lives through her counseling program that pitted spouses against each other. And it even focused men's teachings on, the wrong things, putting their focus on the wrong things. I won't even repeat it. Okay. Now, Jessie, the niece, she said that she had hoped her aunt would not be sidelined in the abuse case. She says that she is so connected to what is happening, and yes, Ruby needs to be held accountable because she made those choices. She's just as guilty. I agree. But Jodi's been doing this for much longer. Jessie, the niece, she listed the grave abuse that she is alleged to have experienced while under Jodi's care, and she says that she experienced severe emotional, spiritual, and psychological abuse. And she says, I experienced being told I shouldn't be around. And that's exactly what she says. I experienced being told I shouldn't be around other people, that I was dangerous to be around. People were afraid of me to the point that I was afraid of myself. I was forced to sleep outside in the snow. I was isolated for up to 12 hours a day. That sounds like prison. Even though I've never been in prison, definitely sounds like prison. She says, if someone spoke to me directly, if I wasn't wearing duct tape on my mouth, I had to just stare at them and not respond. And Jessie, the niece, she tells the broadcaster that she wouldn't be surprised if the same therapy tactics that she experienced were used in Hildebrandt and Franke's business connections, which connections, again, is that self-improvement program that offers DVDs, workshops, workbooks, and other materials. Now, she says that Jodi is so remarkably convincing. She is also terrifying if you cross her, because she has and will systematically destroy your life. She destroys your reputation. She destroys your credibility. Now, Hildebrandt, she was disciplined. She's been in trouble before. She was disciplined by Utah's Division of Occupational and Professional Licensing. So she was already disciplined for unprofessional conduct, and she was removed from the Mormon Family Services roster after her license was put on probation for a temporary time period. Now, patients who used her services between 2008 and 2019 for that 11 years, they claim that she separated spouses, encouraged them to cut off people who weren't living in accordance with her teachings. Which, guess what? Ruby did that to Kevin, her husband. All right. And so, again, there is some truth, but Ruby needs to be held accountable. You see, 5 men who were counseled by Hildebrandt said that they were put into groups to talk about their PORN, their sex, and their lust addictions, and eventually kicked out of their house or refused sex by their partner for months as punishment for watching that stuff. Not so much against, being punished for it. You really shouldn't watch that stuff. That messes with your mind. But who's perfect, right? Franke, she has 6 children. Okay, she has 6 children. And 4 youngest now in custody of Child Protective Services. They're not even with their dad. Franke's 12-year-old son, Russell, blew the whistle on the pair after claiming that Hildebrandt used rope and used different things. This is the Franke's home, or past home. I don't know what the status is of it right now. But Russell, the 12-year-old, he's the one that blew the whistle on all of this and claiming that Hildebrandt used ropes to tie him up and then dressed his wounds with cayenne pepper and honey. That is painful. Poor boy. The boy escaped Hildebrandt's home on August 30th with duct tape around his wrists and ankles and pleaded for food, water, and help from neighbors, telling cops that 2 of his other siblings were still there. And Franke had kept the 3 children in Hildebrandt's care, arrest warrants would later show. And so Ruby's 10-year-old girl was then located at Hildebrandt's house, but cops did not find the 14-year-old according to the search warrant. The 2 youngest children were taken to the hospital. My friends, if you are a person of prayer, please pray that the family gets justice, that these kids find a way to heal and live a prosperous life, because this will affect them for the rest of their lives. I'm Manny Rodriguez. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Until next time, my friends, have a great one. Peace.